You are Locked On Broncos POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, it is your Locked On Broncos POSTCAST. Hope everyone in Broncos country is doing well out there. Vibes are high as the Denver Broncos get themselves back on track after 2 consecutive losses. They take care of business against the Cincinnati Bengals here on Monday Night Football. Your final score, 28-3. It was a throttling for the Denver Broncos tonight, which frankly is the expectation in a game like this. Now, if Joe Burrow's playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's a much different story. But with Jake Browning at quarterback, this is a game that absolutely tracked for the Denver Broncos to go out there and take care of business in convincing fashion, and they did just that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure Broncos country is fired up, so drop those comments. And while you're doing that, make sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button as well. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Broncos POSTCAST. And, of course, this is the POSTCAST in addition to the Locked On Broncos podcast. So Cody and Sarah, they're not going anywhere. Just some additional content here on the Locked On Broncos YouTube channel as well as the Locked On Broncos audio feed. So appreciate y'all rocking with me. And you can follow me on social media at Media by AP if your heart desires. So we got Dennis in the chat. Let's go. Got some good comments here. Needed this before next week, 100%. And big picture wise, I mean, it was a great game for the Denver Broncos defense. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, when you hold any team, I know it's the Bengals without Joe Burrow, but when you hold them to not even a touchdown, right, just a field goal, and that field goal came on the opening drive of the game for the Cincinnati Bengals, that is a thorough dominant showing from the Denver Broncos defense here in this game. But I think everybody's fired up about the offense here tonight. We'll touch on the defense, of course, but the story of the game tonight, I think, is the offense got their mojo back. And Sean Payton has talked about time and time again, trying to figure out and establish what the overall identity of this Denver Broncos offense will be, obviously under the command of second-year quarterback Bo Nix and a veteran himself in Sean Payton. And tonight, I think this is without a doubt the most complete game that we've seen from the Denver Broncos offense. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Bo Nix was what you wanted to see tonight, 29 for 42, 326 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception as well, and a quarterback rating of 97.9. So Bo Nix was absolutely on point tonight. And all of Broncos country can now hopefully take a collective sigh of relief. Ready? Let's do it together. Bo Nix looked like the Bo Nix that we saw in the second half of last season. And now the key here is carrying that momentum over to the next game, which is obviously a tough one for the Denver Broncos going out to the East Coast against the reigning defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. But tonight, you saw Bo Nix get back on track. You saw Bo Nix play with confidence. And I think Sean Payton, there's been a lot of criticism thrown Sean Payton's way, but I think Sean did a really good job tonight of setting Bo Nix up for success. And you absolutely love to see that because we all know that Bo Nix, in regards to what we saw last year, is a guy that can, be a franchise quarterback in this league. 100%. Through the first 3 games, it had been a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, you liked what you saw in the first half against the Indianapolis Colts. Charger game a bit wacky. Those 3 deep balls came back to bite the Broncos in the rear end. The Titans game was kind of a weird start to the season as well. Not a lot of firepower offensively. Tonight, you saw those fireworks popping off with Bo Nix and this Denver Broncos offense. I mean, everybody getting involved in this game. A litany of different receivers getting some grabs here tonight, led, of course, by Courtland Sutton, who had himself quite the game. 5 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. And the 1 touchdown pass was an absolute laser from Bo Nix there in the red zone. A little bit of an acrobatic catch there from Courtland Sutton. Just a phenomenal play from both Bo Nix and Courtland Sutton. That really helped get the mojo going for the Denver Broncos offense in this game. So Courtland Sutton doing Courtland Sutton things, that tried and true veteran presence, that safety blanket for Bo Nix. He said as much after the game as well, and that connection really paid off to help kickstart this Denver Broncos offense tonight. So that's definitely a key moving forward for this Broncos team. The more Courtland Sutton, the better. It opens up everything else for this Broncos offense, and you want to see that continue now moving forward throughout the course of this season. Marvin Mims had himself a nice game. 6 receptions for 69 yards. Nice to see him get involved. And Troy Franklin, couple of drops, right? He makes those catches. Denver's probably scored 30-plus points in this game, But still, 4 receptions for 55 yards, chunk plays as well. When I'm looking at the averages of these balls caught by these receivers, Courtland Sutton with the 5 for 81, an average of 16.2 yards. Marvin Mims, 6 for 69, an average of 11.5. Troy Franklin, 4 for 55, 13.8 yards on average. So you're looking at chunk plays from the top 3 receivers in this Denver Broncos offense tonight. Adam Troutman getting involved, 2 for 32. Evan Ingram, welcome back from injury. Not huge in the reception or in the yardage department, only 4 for 29 yards, but nice to see him get involved once again with this Denver Broncos offense. Maybe not even once again, but really still waiting for that formal wow introduction moment from Evan Ingram. I would imagine that'll come sooner rather than later. But, everybody got involved tonight. Tyler Bidet had a catch. Nate Atkins had a couple of catches. J.K. Dobbins, who we'll talk about here in a moment, had himself a catch. So sharing the sugar, spreading the wealth, that's what you saw from the Denver Broncos offense tonight, and that's what you want to see from this offense moving forward, because Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to be at their best. This team is going to be at their best when they're able to look in different directions and prevent opposing defenses from honing in on just Courtland Sutton, having to worry about Troy Franklin, having to worry about Marvin Mims, and making it so the defense has to pick and choose which players they want to zero in on a down-by-down basis. So what you're seeing tonight is the overall versatility and frankly, what we were expecting from this Denver Broncos wide receiver room throughout the course of the offseason, what we saw in training camp, OTAs, of course, the preseason. It all came together tonight for the Denver Broncos in the passing game. So you absolutely, positively love to see that. You do want to see Troy Franklin, let's get those drops out of the equation. Outside of that, I think you liked what you saw from the Denver Broncos in their wide receiver core here tonight. But why don't we talk about the big guy, the late addition in the offseason for the Denver Broncos on offense? And boy, oh boy, did he make an impact today. And let me pull up this statistic because it's hard to stomach. It really is when you think about how long it's been since the Broncos have had a player accomplish this feat. As J.K. Dobbins tonight becomes, one second, I want to make sure we get this all right for you. We fired off a lot of tweets. And there it is. Okay. J.K. Dobbins tonight. J.K. Dobbins in the Broncos' 28-3 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football becomes the first Denver Bronco running back to rush for over 100 yards in a game since January of 2023. Any guesses as to who was the last running back for the Denver Broncos before tonight to rush for over 100 yards in a single game? I'll let you think. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If your answer was Latavius Murray, you are 100% correct, which feels like ancient history right now for the Denver Broncos. But we're talking about a Broncos team, even with Sean Payton as the head coach last season, that had gone a full season plus without a single running back going for over 100 yards in a single game. That changed here tonight as J.K. Dobbins hit his stride, in particular in the second half with those 16 carries for 101 yards. So he just barely passes that threshold, but albeit that is a great thing for the Denver Broncos to get that proverbial monkey off their back. And now they can sit back and say, yeah, we had J.K. Dobbins rush for 100 yards this season. We had a running back rush for 100 yards last game, right? No more conversation about that. So you like to see that as well from J.K. Dobbins. Really dynamic tonight. And also, let's not forget about R.J. Harvey here. There was that one, if you want to call it an overthrow, it looked like maybe Harvey took a little bit of a stutter step on a route that he ran out of the backfield. That could have been a huge chunk play for him in the receiving department. Albeit he was good tonight, though. 14 carries for 58 yards. And I'm looking at these splits here, right? J.K. Dobbins, 16 carries for 101. R.J. Harvey, 14 carries for 58. You saw them kind of alternate drives at some point in this game as well. I like this 1-2 punch that we saw kind of develop before our eyes. So all in all, man, tonight, really, really good performance, a well-rounded performance from the Broncos offense, led by Bo Nix. Courtland Sutton making it happen, J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey making it happen as well. And that is going to help win you some games for sure in this NFL when your offense is clicking like they did tonight. All right, let's hit a quick break. When we come back, we will continue along with the conversation. Let's talk about that defense, man. Nick Bonito, little 6'7" action there. You saw him with the celly. He's an absolute dog. Jonathan Cooper had himself a game. Jonathan Franklin Myers had himself a game. Love to see that. We'll hit a quick break, come back, and continue along with the conversation right here on your Locked On Broncos POSTCAST. Back in just a moment, folks. All right, you guys, real quick, let me tell you about the fine folks over at PrizePicks, because this episode is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. It's an awesome, awesome app and an awesome platform, guys. Be sure to check out our friends over at PrizePicks and let them know that Locked On Broncos sent you. And let me tell you about our friends real quick over at Rugiet, because this is a fun one. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla? Riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, maybe even tried some of them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. If you're looking for something beyond that usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence, guys. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet.com. That's Rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com. Again, Rugiet.com. Promo code Locked On NFL. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. And look, Monday Night Football or late night, you might need a little extra juice tomorrow. That's where 5-Hour Energy comes in. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar and zero crashes. What I love the most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. And last but certainly not least, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel real quick, because the NFL season is here and FanDuel has an offer that you will not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Be sure to check out our friends over at FanDuel and let them know Locked On Broncos sent you. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Broncos postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope everyone is doing well out there in Broncos country after a big-time 28-3 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. I do want to just get this out of the way. Look, a win is a win, especially in the NFL. It is the Joe Burrow-less Bengals. They were 7.5-point favorites tonight, were the Denver Broncos, so nice to see them take care of business, but let's see them follow up this performance next week against the Philadelphia Eagles before we start getting really excited about this Denver Broncos team. They were on a 2-game losing streak. They bounced back. They took care of business. Boom. Love to see that. Let's see what they do next week against Philadelphia. But, guys, the defense tonight was absolutely stout. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals had 9 first downs in this game, folks. 9. 9 times the Cincinnati Bengals accomplished a first down in this game compared to 29 for the Denver Broncos. So you take a look at that. I mean, third down was absolutely abysmal tonight for the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 for 11. Again, you got to credit Nick Bonito. Got to credit Jonathan Cooper, Jonathan Franklin Myers. I mean, these guys were absolute dogs here tonight. I mean, Denver just dominated this game. 80 plays of total offense for the Broncos compared to just 43 for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Broncos had 512 yards of offense. The Cincinnati Bengals had 159 total yards of offense. I mean, it's night and day. Average yards per play. Broncos 6.4. Cincinnati Bengals 3.7. I mean, the Broncos cleaned up in just about every single category tonight. Rushing yards, 186 for the Broncos, 53 for the Cincinnati Bengals. I gave you the passing yard discrepancy as well. I mean, the Broncos absolutely positively cleaned up in this game and made life miserable for the Cincinnati Bengals, of course, led by backup quarterback Jake Browning. Don't expect that to be the same statistics and the same stat line if Joe Burrow's under center, but the Broncos got to take advantage when they go up against a backup quarterback that's kind of reeling right now, and that's exactly what you saw them do. So hats off to the defense tonight, getting the job done, playing with fire, playing with passion, and really setting the tone to take some pressure off of Bo Nix in this offense. That way they could take a deep breath, settle into a groove after a little bit of a sluggish start, and that's how you get yourself a 28-3 win over the Bengals here tonight. Alex Singleton, a guy who's been, the subject of a lot of criticism from this Denver Broncos team, or fan base, I should say, led the team in total tackles tonight with 11, 6 of which were solo tackles. So you love to see that. Nick Bonito, as we mentioned, the 3 total tackles, 2 of them being solo. The sack department, he was absolutely dynamic. As you know, we've all come to kind of expect that from Nick Bonito on a game in and game out basis. And boy, oh boy, did the Broncos, when it's all said and done, they might, look at this Nick Bonito contract extension as a bit of a bargain, because this is a guy that could be a top 5, top 3, maybe top 1 player at his position. That's how dynamic he is. 1.5 sacks tonight for Nick Bonito as he does his thing. I mean, let's check Jamar Chase's stat line here tonight while we're at it, right? And I understand it was Jake Browning, but, Jamar Chase, not exactly lighting the world on fire. 5 receptions for 23 yards. Pat Surtain had him in the doghouse tonight. And there was a lot of conversation about Jamar Chase versus Pat Surtain, reigning defending defensive player of the year and one of the best overall wide receivers in the NFL. Pat Surtain, check that box, check that box, check that box, check that box. He absolutely dominated that matchup. Dominated against Jamar Chase tonight. He's the DPOY for a reason, and he showed out tonight on Monday Night Football, once again showing why he's the best cornerback in the NFL. Sorry, Sauce Gardner. What a game tonight from PS2, keeping Jamar Chase locked down. I mean, T. Higgins, who's also a great receiver, 3 receptions for 32 yards. I mean, like I said, only 125 total passing yards tonight for the Bengals. That is an atrocity. And again, I think some of that goes to a broken offense with Jake Browning, but I think a lot of that goes to the Broncos defense. You got to give credit where credit is due, and the Broncos defense absolutely took care of business tonight. Love to see that. All right, what else? Let me know in the comment section. Anything else you guys want to riff on here real quick before we get out of here? It is almost 11 o'clock here in the Mile High City. Looking at it, obviously, the next game is a tough one. At Philadelphia, then you go to London to take on the Jets, but you feel pretty good. If the Broncos can beat the Eagles, you think they're going to beat the Jets, and we'll see what happens with Jackson Dart, but they could very well beat the Giants as well. I mean, you're potentially looking at, here comes the run, right? I mean, even after that, Cowboys, Texans, these are outside of the Philadelphia game. 4 of the next 5 games for the Denver Broncos are relatively winnable. I would expect the Broncos to be favorites in every single one of those games, except for Philadelphia. Curious as to what that line will be, but I expect the Broncos to be favorites against the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Texans, and probably even the Raiders shortly thereafter, and maybe even the Chiefs at home, depending on how the Chiefs look heading into that matchup. So after 2 losses where it felt like the sky was falling with this Denver Broncos team, what's wrong with Bo Nix? What's wrong with Sean Payton, Vance Joseph? What's up with this defense? Get back to 500, bounce back, reset, and go out there next week, put up a good fight, try to steal a victory against the Philadelphia Eagles, and then you got games against the Giants, or the Jets, Giants, Cowboys, Texans, and Raiders, all of which the Broncos should be favored in. So the Broncos, after this win against the Cincinnati Bengals, are 100% trending in the right direction. Bo Nix needs to continue to play with confidence. Sean Payton needs to continue to support Bo Nix and help establish that run game to open up the passing game. And the defense needs to continue to play the level that we know that they can. If all 3 of those things come together, buckle up, folks. The Broncos just might go on a run. They just might go on a run. All right. I think it's going to do it. Where's the tight end? I think Evan Ingram will get involved sooner rather than later, right? But you can't complain about that here tonight. But yeah, we see here from Michael, run the ball against the Philadelphia Eagles 100%. I really do think the key for this Broncos team right now with Bo Nix establishing that confidence, pound the rock. J.K. Dobbins is dynamic. R.J. Harvey, you're seeing some bursts from him as well. I think if the Broncos are able to go out there and establish the run against Philadelphia, they're going to have a good chance to pull off the upset. So we'll leave it at that. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me on tonight's Locked On Broncos postcast. Really, really appreciate y'all. Again, do me that favor. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. You guys can also follow me on social media at Media by AP. Good dub tonight, 28-3, essentially a wall-to-wall victory for the Denver Broncos as they get back to 2-2 in convincing fashion. That's it for me, folks. Have a good night. Talk to you guys next week.